coming down for hours. The worst snowstorm in years is blasting the tri-state.
Dangerous roads, damaging wind, and power outages that could last for days.
News 4 is fanned out across our area. Live team coverage of Nor'easter 2020 starts now. It is going to be a long night out there. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Natalie Pascarella.
And I'm David Ushery. We told you it would be bad, and now we are feeling the full effects of this nor'easter. Let's get right to Storm Team 4 meteorologist Janice Huff with where things stand right now, Janice.
All right. Thanks, Natalie and David. We're going to look at the snow totals we have up to this point. The highest one we've seen so far is Belvedere, New Jersey. That should be Belvedere, New Jersey. 10.4 inches. That's in Warren County, west of New York City. So up to 10.5 almost there. Landing, New Jersey, with 8 inches of snow. That's in Morris County, almost 7.5 in Greenwich Village. So the city working on 8 inches of snow already, and it's still flying around. This is the live view from Rockefeller Plaza. We're seeing at times big fat flakes, at times tiny flakes, and some of you may be even hearing a ping sort of sound against your windows. That's sleet, that's ice, and there is some mixing in some communities, including in Brooklyn. We expected that. Right now, the winds are picking up. The gusts now between 35 and 45 miles an hour. That's the difference between JFK and LaGuardia. So those winds helping to swirl the snow around and will also pile water up at the coast. We've already had some reports of some minor flooding at the Jersey Shore. Right now, we're seeing snow in the city, light snow at LaGuardia and the Battery, light snow in Linden and Morristown, light snow in White Plains, and yes, some pink showing up there, some sleet mixing in some locations. So we're getting some mixing at JFK right now of some sleet here. We expected that on the south-facing shores. We told you that yesterday. So the snow totals here are likely to be a bit less. There's a little bit of a warm air intrusion aloft above us. That's working its way into parts of central New Jersey as well. We're not expecting this to last all night, though. As the low pulls off to the east, more of that cold air will swing back in and change everything over to snow before it ends. You can see it stretches all the way back through central Pennsylvania. There's another piece of it now north of D.C. moving into south central Pennsylvania. So our low is developing down here off the Delmarva, and it's still moving north, but then we'll take a right turn toward the east. The wind gusts, as I mentioned, between 35 and 45 miles an hour, scattered around the tri-state. Visibility remains low due to blowing snow and just plain old snow just falling. It had been down to 0 in some spots. Right now, around a mile in some areas. So we're keeping with the snow totals we've been saying for the last couple of days now. Lowest amounts down the Jersey Shore. The farther south you go, the lower the snow totals. Actually, New Jersey, we've already seen that variety of snow totals across New Jersey, with the highest expected well to the north and west, close to 2 feet. All right, so Storm Team 4's Dave Price and I are in the Storm Team 4 Weather Center, and I'll have another update coming up in a few minutes. Back to you.
All right, Janice, let's focus on some of what you said regarding New Jersey, which is going to see some of the most significant amount of snow. Now, we know overall there's less traffic, less movement with the pandemic, and that's a good thing because roads are buried, sidewalks are covered, plowed trucks trying to keep up. And we still have seen a number of motor vehicle incidents around the tri-state. News 4's Checky Beckford getting a first-hand look. She's in Clifton. How are things, Checky?
Hey, David, and we're getting a little bit of that ping that Janice was just talking about, that snow mix, more sleet than snow itself right now after we had kind of a break for the last hour or so. Take a look behind me. This beautiful wintry scene is proving tricky for drivers, as you mentioned. You really can't see the blacktop here on Clifton Avenue, and that's proved a problem for drivers here along what is a hill where they have become stuck tonight. We found this man trying to help a stranded motorist earlier, and we've seen similar scenes throughout the evening. A car in a ditch along the Garden State Parkway, another involved in a minor crash on the back of a tow truck along Route 3. People, for the most part, have heeded the warnings to stay off the roads, but if you had to be out, the snow was coming down fast and thick and appearing to blanket the highway at times. We still found some out trying to get ahead of the storm, or at least keep up with it as much as they could to clear away some of the snow before it gets worse. We found workers at a big box store heading home early this evening. Their employer concerned things would only get worse. Take a listen.
Target is letting us go home because it's pretty bad out here. So they said it's going to get pretty bad, so it's going to get worse than this. So we out of here.
I've actually been shopping for a few, and like all the snow has just been piling up in the car already. I wasn't expecting this much.
And that man said that he was inside the store for only about an hour and a half. He came out and saw about 2 inches of snow on his car, and he had no snow removal equipment whatsoever. Hopefully you do, and hopefully you're heeding those warnings to stay home tonight. Now, for a look at how the city is faring during this storm, let's head over to News 4's Ray VILLEDA, who's live in Union Square tonight. Ray?
Hey, Checky, in the city that never sleeps, it feels like it's taken a deep winter slumber. Right now, what we're seeing here is snow mixed with sleet. It's going back and forth. Right now, it's turned to flakes. Earlier today, outdoor dining had to be closed down because of this weather, and you could see the skeletal remains of some of these setups set up around here at Union Square. I want to show you something else that we've started to notice. Aside from the snow, of course, you could see it's starting to cover the ground again, even though plows have been here. Take a look at this setup. This is a result of the wind that Janice was talking about earlier. You could see this setup has basically been blown around this tent right here. This is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the winds pick up. We're seeing the snow and sleet mixed together. Plows are out there, but as you can see, their work is really quickly diminished because the snow is starting to cover the roads. We spoke to people who have been out taking pictures. They tell me they're happy to see the snow.
So happy when it's snowing in New York every time. It's a heaven for us.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of people usually don't like the snow. Why do you like it?
Because I'm from Siberia again, and I know how to get myself warm. People doesn't know sometimes. I see people walking in the sneakers, and I have a winter jacket, and I have a mittens actually made from Samoyed fur. So they're super warm. I don't get cold at all.
Mittens made of fur, and I got to tell you, they look pretty warm. You hear that? We're starting to hear the sleet mixing in with the snow coming down hard. It's starting to feel like pellets hitting us right now. Something to tell folks, students, tomorrow there is no school in-class learning, but it is remote, so it's not really a snow day in the conventional sense, but the snow is still continuing to fall at this hour. We're live in Union Square. I'm Ray VILLEDA, News 4 New York.
Hey, Ray, if Siberia is your point of reference, then perhaps things look a little different around here. Thank you, Ray. And we want to repeat what you just said. New York City public school buildings will be closed tomorrow, but hopefully students finish the assignments that are due tomorrow because classes will still be in session. It will all be remote learning. Dozens of other school districts are closed around our area, and you might have spotted the list scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Frigid, snowy conditions in Westchester and Rockland counties as well. News 4's Ida Siegel's been doing her best, along with the crew, to cover that for us. She is in Yonkers. Ida?
Hey, David, how you doing? Yeah, the snow has been coming down really heavily for hours now. Sometimes we have these really thick flakes. Right now, it's these tiny, sleek ice pellets that just fly horizontally into one's face, which is not terribly pleasant, I have to tell you. But take a look at Yonkers Avenue behind me here. I got to tell you, the worst of it at this hour is the wind. The wind gusts can be so heavy that it actually brings and sweeps the snow on the ground back up into the air. So you've got snow coming at you from the ground, and then you've got snow coming at you from the sky. Also not terribly pleasant. Okay, this intersection right here, this is Yonkers Avenue and the service road to the Major Deegan Expressway. This road has been plowed really well, to be honest, but it is still really slippery and snow covered at this hour. So that's what a plow-made road looks like. You could only imagine what things look like further into the suburbs. A good excuse to stay home tonight and stay home tomorrow in the morning. That's the latest from my live.
All right, Ida, that wind almost overtook your microphone, so we understand the conditions out there. And as she's pointing out, working from home is the best option for tomorrow. Many people have been. If you have the choice, tomorrow's the day to do it. If you do have to commute, here's what you need to know. The storm has crippled mass transit tonight. Hopefully most of you are where you need to be. Most service either suspended or delayed, including NJ Transit, the LIRR, Metro North, and Amtrak. And it's really not clear right now if service will be fully restored by the morning. But you hear Janice, and Dave will join her. We have a lot more to go. So tune in today in New York, starting at 4 a.m. for a commuter update. And we do know the storm has already knocked out power to thousands around the tri-state. More than 11,000 customers in the dark right now. The majority of those in New Jersey. In New York, it's a little less than 500. And right now, Connecticut faring the best, just 56 total outages, Natalie.
Road conditions at this hour are treacherous, to say the least, for most of Connecticut. As you see this video here, it's from Hamden and Newington. The entire state, for the most part, also expected to be blanketed with at least 12 to 16 inches of snow before this nor'easter moves out. And here's another example of just how bad the roads are tonight. Would you look at this pileup on the Henry Hudson Parkway in Inwood? Dave, it's nearly 20 cars.
Natalie, the FDNY says 6 people were hurt in that, but fortunately, none of the injuries is life-threatening. News 4's Adam Harding's been out. He's in Cliffside Park, New Jersey, where we're seeing another traffic mess. Adam?
All right, David, so I want to just tell you about this snow that we're dealing with right now. It's wet, but it's not too wet right now, so it's easy to sweep up right here, which is what Victor's doing. And you can see the piles that we're dealing with here, several inches of snow. But the major concern right now is the roadways right now. This is Gorge Road here in Cliffside Park, where you can see right down the street here, clearly the tow trucks and the emergency vehicles, they've made their way through. They've been able to get a lot of the snow off of the roadways, but they're still dealing with a lot of that snow. Take a look at this video that a viewer sent us a short time ago. It shows you just how treacherous the conditions were when this snow started to come down, and for a while it's been going on pretty heavy, off and on, several inches of snow. You can see one car on the wrong side of the road come dangerously close to smashing head-on into another car. That really created just a nasty effect here on Gorge Road, leaving some drivers effectively stranded. In fact, we caught up with one guy who lost a tire because of all of this weather. He was stranded for nearly 2 hours. What happened?
We were just going back to our houses. We live in the Bronx and work here, and we just got a tire damaged, and we just here stuck.
How long have you been here?
It's been like 40 minutes, I think, or almost an hour.
Almost an hour? And any relief in sight?
No, it's just a little frustrating because there's no tire shops open, nobody to help us.
And I'll tell you, our photojournalist Danny Ojeda helped them get that tire fixed. This is what drivers are now having to deal with. They got to clear their car, and they've got several inches of snow to dig out. That is why the work tonight is already underway. Victor behind us, he's got a long night ahead of him as the snow continues to come down. We're live tonight in Cliff Park. I'm Adam Harding, News 4 New York.
All right, good view there, Adam. Thank you. And Long Island not getting spared either, especially on the North Shore. A lot of accidents. Plows having trouble keeping up with the snow. News 4's Miles Miller continuing our live coverage. He's in Oyster Bay. Miles?
And David, the worst of the storm right here in Oyster Bay, of the North Shore of Long Island, really getting the brunt of the storm. You can hear it as it pelts my coat right now. It is the rain-sleet mix that is just really coming down here on Main Street and South Street here. You can see there is a significant amount of measurable snow here, but then also here in the street as well, you can see no blacktop, even though plows come down the street almost every 5 minutes here. But what is also really important to note is that the wind is really whipping up here. Take a look at that American flag up here in Oyster Bay. You can see it's just really flapping in the wind. But what the wind also did here was it toppled over this planter. This is a massive planter filled with soil, really knocked it up off of the street and right into this jewelry store here. But the concern is also for people in their morning commute. We spoke with one man who's trying to shovel his driveway to be able to get the Long Island Railroad running tomorrow.
We need snow to kill the bacteria, so when it comes time for the farmers to do what they need to do, you know, we have vegetables.
The snow is expected to taper off before dawn, so tomorrow is going to be a big cleanup day. And they call this heavy, wet snow heart attack snow. So we want to make sure if you have a condition, if your health, if you have any questions, don't shovel, wait.
And you can see these power lines, they're dangling here. They are moving with the wind here. The concern tonight is the power, making sure that these winds don't knock over some of these power lines in some of these areas that are in the North Shore. That's the big concern. As of last check, about 400 customers here on Long Island without power. The county executive saying she thinks that number will grow and that PSE&G is at the ready to answer to those down power lines. Live in Oyster Bay, I'm Miles Miller, News 4. Back to you.
All right, Miles, be careful out there. Steer clear of those lines. All right, Storm Team 4 has been hard at work. Janice, you warned us that this would be a long night.
Absolutely, and we're still dealing with it, and we've been showing you pictures of the snow, and one thing we want to show you is the pictures of the wind. This is Point Pleasant Beach, and we can see wind-blown rain that's being brought on shore with the storm system. Gusts there are between 30 and 35 miles an hour. They're going to get stronger as the low-pressure system intensifies and moves up the coast. So right now, strong winds out there blowing and drifting snow and rain, and in some cases, you're getting some sleet, as we saw there from Miles also. And it's mixing in with snow. We knew this could happen. We were expecting that rain-snow line to be a little bit closer to the coast because of the track of the low, and it all depends on the track of the low-pressure system just offshore. It's still to our south. You're still seeing some heavy snow on the north shore of Long Island, moving across the Sound and up through portions of Connecticut. Also over the Hudson Valley, there's still some deep snow bands here between Ramapo and northern New Jersey. So a lot of snow still falling in areas. It's mixing in some. We've had reports of mixing in some of the boroughs too, and that's to be expected. Even a dry slot, which means it may stop snowing for like a little while, but we expect it to pick up once again later tonight as the low pulls away. So gusty winds, a big issue. Visibility is an issue right now, around a mile in most areas, maybe a little bit less in some because of the wind blowing the snow around. You can see here's the low. It's developing here along the Delmarva, so that's going to intensify tonight. It's not done yet, and then it's going to pull back out in the ocean, and then it's going to draw more cold air on the backside. So even though your precipitation may be mixing right now or even rain, the cold air will be pulling back in overnight, and the winds are going to get stronger too, so we've got more hours to go. Dave Price, tell us what we can expect going into tomorrow.
Well, let's talk about it. More cold temperatures, that's for sure. 28 degrees before you factor in the winds, and this nor'easter is going to continue to power up overnight. Could see 8 or more inches through the overnight into early tomorrow morning. Stay off the roads. We just don't need to be out there, and we are going to see further complications from those winds. We heard about what's happening not only at the shore from the pictures Janice showed us, but on the power situation from the pictures Miles Miller was bringing us just a few minutes ago. Wind chills. 10 degrees in Poughkeepsie, 0 in Monticello right now. You get the idea. It's bitter cold. Northeast winds firing at us. We have not adjusted this map in several days. We were on it early. It has played out exactly as expected and will continue to through the overnight. 12 to 18 as we head to the north through the Hudson Valley, 18 to 24 out to the west. These areas where it has remained sub-freezing from beginning and will last right until this storm ends. Down the shore, that's where those temperatures are warmer. That's where it's a rain and wind and flooding event. All of this continues to work through the area. This is 2 a.m. By the way, we'll be broadcasting online overnight, keeping you up to date on everything. And you can see there's where we see a little bit of the mix overnight across the south shore of Long Island. Temperatures hovering around the freezing mark there, but to the north and west, that's where that combination of sub-freezing temperatures, snow, and wind gusts are going to make travel very, very difficult. This is 6 a.m. and look at those gusts. Sussex at 45 miles per hour, close to 50 as we approach the city, and strong gusts over 50 miles per hour out on the east end of Long Island. The low pulls off, the winds stick around, and it remains very, very cold. 33 on the thermometer tomorrow, 30 on Friday. As we head into Saturday, 31 degrees. Keep in mind that's before any wind chills, and then into next week, all eyes right around Christmas. Could we play it again, Sam? We'll find out. That's a quick look at the weather forecast. It's going to be a busy overnight. Folks, back to you.